Deep amongst the fir trees in the forests of British Columbia lived a man, that would be me, who had a woodworking shop. That would be this building right here. And voila, the woodworking shop. Let's shed a little light on the subject. And behold, a huge mess. Well, okay, it's not that bad. Like tight bond into the glue bot, so are the days of... Let's kick off the tour of the woodworking shop. First order of business when you come out to this building is get some heat out here. And any self-respecting woodworker needs to have a wood stove in his woodworking shop. Okay, there's other options too. My name is Zengineer, and I have a problem. My problem is that I will keep any piece of wood longer than about 10 inches because it might be useful to me one day. As a result, I've got to make my own kindling every time I come out here. Alright, let's get with the program here. So this building is 30 feet long by 15 feet wide, 10-foot walls, which is an absolute necessity if you want to move around sheets of plywood without banging into your lights or things like that. On our left as we come through the door is our 14-inch bandsaw, a vacuum cleaner that has no home because they can never have homes apparently, they're always in the way. We've got a 6-inch cheapy joiner, and then the 13-inch thickness planer, of course, on a mobile cart with a bunch of junk all over it. Router table, handy little thing. Get into the wood stove here. Ignore the tripod, that has nothing to do with woodworking. And this bench at the back with a bunch of drawers and storage that still needs a bit of organizing, but we're getting there slowly. And spinning around, we've got our miter station and our table saw and outfeed table at the heart of the shop. The table saw is a 10-inch Steel City cast iron table, a sort of hybrid saw between a contractor grade and a full-out cabinet saw. 2 horsepower motor. It does pretty well. A little more power wouldn't hurt. I'm running it on 110 volts right now. Running it at 220 would give it a little more juice, I think, which would probably help. Nice fence, Bismarck style fence, UHMW slides and face on it. Of course, UHMW is ultra high molecular weight plastic, which is sort of Teflon-like in its friction, low friction, so pretty handy for slides and faces and so on. No zero clearance fence yet at this point, but we do have the ribbing knife, which is an awesome safety feature. Oh, let's grab the miter fence here and take a look at that. It's kind of cool. So this is an Incra fence, the 1000 SE model. Totally tunable, really handy actually. Really impressed with their products and the quality of them. Of course, yeah, I'll run it into the blade. Nicely detented for all the 5-degree increments on it, which is great. Positive stop. But this thing's got a few added features that are really cool. Like all this stuff down here, it looks like an add-on, but it's neat. You unscrew it like you would a typical miter fence, and you unscrew this little stop here too, and you have full range of motion, which is awesome. Push in the little detent here in 5-degree increments. There's one for 22.5 degrees as well. So that's great. You can get really accurate cuts that way, locking her down. But you see the little metal tab there, this thing here. What that is actually a vernier, and it gives you the ability to get fractions of a degree accurately, the same as you could with a vernier calipers, basically the same way. I'll show you how it works here. So let's say you want to get in between a couple angles here, a couple detents on here. You don't want 35 degrees, you want 30.4 or 30.5. Well, all you do is line up the lines the same as you would on your vernier calipers, and that's the angle you end up with. So right there, that's 30.5 degrees. And it's super accurate. You just lock it down and you're good to go. The single most important feature you can add to a table saw is an outfeed table. It adds so much safety and usability, it's unbelievable. First thing you should build. This one is almost a full 4x8 sheet, which makes it really handy. I use it for assembly too. Got a little bit of a woodworking vise on there. A smooth transition between the table saw and bench, and of course some room for the dust extraction hose there as well that I've just added recently. I can't emphasize enough how important a good outfeed table is. It just makes life so much easier. Alright, moving next door here, we've got our rigid 13-inch thickness planer. Pretty basic version. Straight blades, no fancy helical cutters or anything like that. This is just a bit of a workhorse in the shop. Worked really well on my table build that you might have saw the video for. I'll put a card up for that. One cool thing about this though is that it's on a flip-top bench I made, so you can actually undo these latches on top here and open up the bottom here and actually flip it right over into the base, and then you have a clear workbench on top. For the most part it's going to stay in the up position here, but every once in a while I'll need to use the router table with something a little bigger, so I can just flip her over and get it out of the way. Okay, moving to the router table. Just a little Freud one, not too crazy. Decently powered router underneath, and works really well. Got all my router bits and drawers underneath here. And under that I have my fences and other router accessories ready to go. And moving back down the wall, we have our 6-inch jointer. Another offshore tool here. It actually works though. I have the chips to prove it. Seriously though, I use those a lot for a fire starter. You can see I still got a few fires left in it there. Of course, a super handy tool for squaring up an edge before you're joining pieces together or just moving on to other processes. And then we continue down that wall and we get to our King 14-inch bandsaw, 93.5-inch blade, as you can see. And yeah, nothing crazy about this. It does apparently do wood and metal. I don't use it for metal much, but it does an okay job on wood. I've had to give it a pretty good tune-up here though. Bad blade tracking and so on and so forth. It seems to have come out pretty good though once I finished up with it. Every once in a while you find a tool that you just don't know how you'd live without. And that was the case for me in these roller stands. I was actually given these. I had no intention to buy something like this, but holy cow, have they ever been useful. Microfine adjustment up and down, of course, tracking casters on top with ball bearings. And, you know, using it as an infeed method for full sheets of plywood heading into the table saw just makes life so much easier. Along with long stock through the joiner or anything like that. I've used it a few times for that, and these things have been just awesome. And along the back of the shop, cleaned it off a little bit here. We've got the workbench. This one doesn't get used for work projects so much. We got some sandpaper storage here, as you can see. More for mixing of stuff, tool holding, putting down tools. It becomes a bit of a mess, but you can see we got some storage built in here and getting some practicality out of it now. This was actually a transplant from my father-in-law's shop, so bit by bit we're getting stuff put away and organized. Let's move to the drill press. Okay, nothing fancy here at all, but benchtop drill press, fairly heavy duty, offshore, cheap one, decent amount of power and size of chuck for woodworking anyway. It'll spin a 2-inch Forstner bit without too much trouble. A little bit high at this point. I probably will cut it down a bit more at some point if this is going to be the final spot. And down below here in these drawers we've got selection hand tools for the woodworking shop. And then drill bits, at least some of them. There's a bunch more hiding around here somewhere. Tile saw underneath here. Moving a bit to the left here, we've got some shelving and a little bit of a clamp rack going on. And that takes us to this miter saw. This was the first stationary power tool I bought, and it has been with me for 12 years now, I think. Absolutely fantastic. Cannot recommend a saw like this enough. You know, there's lots of different options. Some of the new fandangled ones don't require quite so much space in behind them. That would be a fantastic improvement, actually, but not enough to justify getting rid of this one and getting a new one, unfortunately. I've got a sacrificial fence I've added on here for a couple of things I was working on, just sort of left it on. One of the nice things about this is that it's a direct drive with a bevel gear. LS1013L. Fantastic tool. And the last stop here is my dust collection system. Sort of a homebrew system, as you can see. Just serving the table saw and miter saw at this point. I've got a 1 horsepower bag dust extractor, but I've got it hooked through the Veritas separator, just a little lid you can get from Lee Valley Tools for about 50 bucks. And what it does for me by doing that is it keeps anything metal or wood from being pulled through the impeller. It just falls out into the garbage can, you can see there. So a little bit of insurance, a little bit of separation. Doesn't work as well as a Cyclone, of course. Well, the last thing to do is open one of these mini doors and see what's behind door number 4, I guess this is. And it looks to be outside, sunshine. Well, if that's not enough incentive to get out of here, then I don't know what is. So we're going to head out back into the forest. We'll catch you next time, folks. If you like this type of content and want to see more of it, please subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. It makes a huge difference. Until next time, see you later.